is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome back to Run It Back. I am your host, Jazsmin Halliburton, and joined with me today is none other than Jon the Shake Grove, joining us on the Kansas City Sports Network. Jon, thank you so much for being the godsend child that you are and joining me very last minute on this show. I was just like, you know what? I just need somebody to help me out here today, because I know there's just a lot of things that we want to talk about, not only with some volleyball going on, but also women's basketball. Big 12 Media Day was this. Like, I can't just share my thoughts alone, you know what I mean? And I need Jon, because he's been on my show. You were on my show every week last year. And you know how much game I spit when it comes to K-State women's basketball, right? So I'm like, I need someone who knows that can match my energy, you feel me? But before we get into that, Jon, we got to start with K-State volleyball. Went to Norman, Oklahoma. I expected them to sweep them, to be honest. In the two-game series that they had, I expected for them, to handle business, pack them up, and get ready for BYU. Unfortunately, first game-wise, that's not what happened. K-State ended up splitting the series 1-1. K-State was up 2-0 before OU pulled out the reverse sweep and beating K-State off a net violation in the fifth and final set, which is a little, but I mean, I guess was a big part about it because K-State won the first set. Coming in, they were, 8-0 when the Cats won the first set. So that in itself is like, damn, okay? Is something that because OU is last in the Big 12 right now. They did not have any Big 12 wins coming into this game. But also, fun fact that actually OU's head coach is Coach Mansfield's brother. Mm-hmm. So I guess in a way, there's always such thing as poetic justice, right? So if anyone was going to beat this team at the moment, would have been his brother, because they talked about in post game that they, like Coach Mansfield and OU's head coach, they both watch each other so much, like they don't miss a game for when their brother is coaching. So I guess in a way, that in itself can be a little bit of a disadvantage, your brother's tendencies and vice versa. And that's why this first game was what it was. Because typically K-State, obviously, they win the first set, they don't lose afterwards. And it was really good too. It really dominant for the most part. It's a little bit tight in the first set. K-State won 25-15. In the second set, 25-19. And all of a sudden, OU found whatever momentum that they needed to find. And then K-State ended up losing the last three sets, 15-25, 20-23, another close one, and then 14-16, where K-State had the set point or match point, and then thought they had it done. And then it was a net violation that, Jon, you said you kind of disagree with, because, what the hell? You know what I mean?
It didn't necessarily look like that. First, when I saw it on the replay, I thought Sydney Bolding was I thought it was just a clean block. There was no touching up a net. I thought everything was clean, but the official said otherwise. But no, you're right, Jazsmin. Momentum completely flipped in the third set when Oklahoma. They jumped up to a 9-3 lead behind five consecutive serves from one of their hitting leaders, and they just continued their fast pace throughout the entire match. And we can talk about the controversial call at the end, but if you're K-State, you just can't necessarily have yourself in that kind of situation. You're already up by 2 sets, and at one point in the fifth, you were up 13-9 as well, and you just gotta finish up those matches. You just gotta capitalize. It's a little bit disappointing with this first loss. And honestly, out of everybody that is able to really test Jason Mansfield in terms of the coaching, it would be his brother, which I think is really cool just to see the experience that I'm guaranteeing you that those two will remember forever. And there'll be other future matches like one the day later to talk about as well. But it was a pretty disappointing loss nonetheless. They played very well in the first 2 sets. But Oklahoma, they just began to start clicking in the final 2 sets, and then they managed to come back in the 5th and pull it off. So they executed pretty well until the end, and it looks as if there's going to be, well, I should have presumably said this, but adjustments were going to have to be made, and then all of a sudden they did on Friday, and which was when they were able to get the sweep. But yeah, you mentioned it right off the bat, Jazsmin. This was the kind of series, for 2-game series you would love to have back, considering that this is not a very good Oklahoma team, and that, I mean, with full transparency, it should have been both sweeps, or like the worst case scenario, give up 1 set to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and it's because in this match that K-State was only hitting 125 out of it. They got outkilled by 6. We had 43. OU had 57. We had 8 aces to their 9. And then what was a really kind of eye-popping stat to me is that we got outblocked by 4. There was not many games, if any, that we've been outblocked. Even some of the losses that we had, we are a really, really good defensive blocking team. So the fact that those 4 blocks, even still in a close match that eventually should not have been close, but nonetheless, being outblocked by 4 is still, in my mind, kind of detrimental in that moment. And then they won the second game, ended up being a sweep, which exactly the hell we thought was supposed to happen right in the final result. But even that game was tighter than, once again, this is his brother. Obviously, it's probably going to be a little bit harder to get this win than opposed to if OU was coached by somebody else, of course. In a way, I kind of get that. I understand that. Because we won this game, let's see, 25-23, tight, 25-18. And then the third and final set ended up clapping they behinds 25-15. Because now they had to see what they're going to do yesterday. Big deal, you won 2 sets. But you won 2 sets the day before, too, and ended up getting reverse swept. So what are you going to do in this third and final set to make sure you pack they behinds up and get ready for BYU? You end up coming out dominantly and win 25-15. I think at one point they were up 9-1 in the start of the third set. Okay, they was doing exactly what we expected them to do, but it was still a pretty tight match in my mind. I know last week, in a couple weeks, I've been using the analogy of a 300-man buying clothes at Baby Gap. That's how tight it is. Okay, until I find a different analogy, that's the one I'm going to be using. Okay, but that's what it is. And Coach Mansfield, he was actually talking about how they transitioned from their typical 6-2 to their 5-1 formation. And he's saying that was a really tough decision for them to do because they've had a lot of success playing at 6-2, but then you just have going to a 5-1 where it's going to be the Izzy Shulshevsky show. And it was. She had 37 assists out of, I think, a total of 40 of this game. So you knew that was going to be, you're going to have 5 attackers, 1 setter, and she's going to handle the business of being that 1 setter, and that's exactly what she did, right? So that's something that they moved to. I don't know, John, if it'll be a typical thing that they go for or they'll continue to do because 6-2 has worked for them so much, despite, yesterday of OU giving them some problems. But then, of course, it wasn't completely smooth sailing in the second match against OU, but it was obviously well enough getting a 3-0 sweep, right? It's still using this 5-1 technique. Do you see them maybe using this in future games? There's only 8 more games left in the season. Do you see them kind of using that 5-1?
I think overall it would just kind of depend on what setup the defense would have in mind. And heading into this match, actually heading into the season, we didn't know what we were getting from Oklahoma defensively this season, especially with their former coach, Lindsey Gray Walton, getting fired. But she still had several of her players on the team that were consistently they were very consistent when it came to their blocking performances. That transpired for the first match on Thursday night, especially. And there's going to be several matches in which it'll be a good thing to kind of switch from the 6-2 to the 5-1, and then there may be several other matches here or there, but it just might not necessarily pan out if a team's going to and the opponent's going to try and snip and find out about trying to exploit your weaknesses here and there. But I don't know, but that'd just be my overall observations just from what I've seen so far.
because we know like Izzy, she's that one that's going to be doing. She's done a great job this entire season, and I know it's interesting because they had the freshman Simone in this game doing a whole lot of work. See, Simone Sims, freshman, I think she played her first Big 12 game, I think, at UCF, and then that's it. So it's kind of interesting how he's kind of implementing her more in that setter position, even though she's listed as, defensive specialist libero, who I think is probably going to take the reins from Mac Morris when she ends up graduating. So I guess it's just interesting to see her out there. She's done a really good job, don't get me wrong, but kind of this late into the season, getting her first Big 12 action, just interesting, and especially when you're moving more towards that 5-1 for that game, that's going to be a lot more action for her when just her third at that point Big 12 game. So interesting to see Jason Manfield like in his mindset first, because you love to get as much playing time for the kiddos as much as possible, especially when they're going to be more than likely in that starting position when the seniors leave. Like you see that with Brenna Schmidt. She's getting a lot of action. She started getting it earlier on in the season because Sydney Bolding, this is her last year. She's going to be graduating. So you need somebody who's going to fill that middle blocker position. And boom, it looks like Brenna Schmidt is going to be that one, right? So now kind of seeing just later in the season that you're going to see that same thing with Simone Sims, even though she's right now in that setter position, kind of going back and forth with Izzy, even though obviously Izzy's still going to be, setter number one. Just seeing how that'll transition into what she's supposed to be when she becomes a libero in that defensive specialist position. But to continue on with K-State's 3-0 win in the second game against OU, there were some things that obviously changed. Cats were hitting at a 313 clip. Cats had 8 aces, 2 OUs, nothing. Okay, and it's crazy that Sydney Bolding, she had 4 aces, so she only had half of K-State's total aces in this game, but that's not a surprise. Sydney Bolding is that one, especially when it comes to setting. And then, of course, you'd have the typical what you need to have. Leah Carter, another game with 15 kills. She had a double-double in the first game, but I think 15 kills and 22 digs, somewhere around that number. Then, of course, Anaya Clinton doing it big, 12 kills, 2 blocks. Sydney Bolding, 7 kills, 4 aces. Once again, highlight, 1 block. Then Brenna Schmidt, 5 kills and 3 blocks. Now, something, John, that we discussed a little bit before and in other shows, that this is a really good start for a first-year head coach. But the only issue is like they have some consistency problems now and again. Right. Just like you'll have a good win against Baylor, then you drop the next game against Baylor. You have a really bad loss against TCU to start out, and then you have a really good win against TCU later. It's been like win, loss, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win. It's a little all over the place in the consistency that we know that they have. We know they have the talent. We know that they're able to succeed in doing a lot of things and kind of matching speeds with other teams or other teams, and they're forcing other teams to play at K-State speed, right? It's just like they do a lot of good things. Just the problem is that consistency is where things kind of drop off a little bit, because last week I was talking about the last 10 games of the season, and now it's the last 8 when I was talking last week, is that K-State has, we had Oklahoma twice. I imagined the last 10 games, I thought we would go 6-4. 6-4 with the sweep of OU. Now that kind of changes a little bit of things, considering we dropped one against OU. But now, because this is, at this point in time, completely and utterly, this is to me, this is the meat of the conference schedule, because it gets aggressive, John. It gets damned aggressive, because you have a series against number 9 BYU, and I watched them play early in the season against Cincinnati. John, them girls are good.
It's a very good volleyball program.
They are a very good program. They are tall. I'm looking up and down their roster. I see 6'2", 6'2", 6'3", 6'3", 6'1", 6'2", 6'2", 5'11", 5'10", and then of course their defensive specialist would be at 5'6", 5'8", the typical height of a defensive specialist. But I'm like, bro, they feel like their average height is literally 6'1" on that team. And I was just watching them play, watching them whoop Cincinnati's behind. I'm like, yeah, the preparation for that is going to be extreme. and I have faith that K-State will find a way. But if they don't, I'm not going to be surprised, because this is a tall ask, John.
It's
a tall ask.
It's going to be a tall task, and really, one of the positives you can probably make out of this is that it's going to be at the Morgan Family Arena, in Mount Provo, Utah, because BYU has one of the nation's most toughest home court atmospheres. Like, you could put them up with Nebraska and Hawaii and probably several other schools. I mean, Texas as well, with their gym as well. You got to throw BYU up there as well, but it's a play to Morgan Family Arena, but nonetheless, it's a BYU team that's been historically good. They've shown a lot of success in the West Coast Conference years prior. But, really, besides the match against Houston, they've handled a lot of their opponents on their home court so far. And overall, it's going to be interesting to see how K-State's able to overcome. Really, Jason Mansfield mentioned it after the second OU match. The theme of the day is to be resilient, and they're going to have to completely dig deep throughout this next few slate of games, because you got BYU twice. It doesn't get any easier because you're playing in Lawrence against the Jayhawks twice, right before you're playing number 6 Texas in Manhattan for a midweek game as well. So, I mean, this is like the meat on the bones, fork in the road type of stretch coming up. It's going to be very interesting to see how Jason Mansfield and the volleyball team are able to react to this lineup coming, are able to respond after splitting Oklahoma this weekend as well. I mean, you also got Houston as well, kind of around that mix as well. So this is without a doubt the toughest stretch for the volleyball team this season.
And it's crazy because, like, these next 8 games, 6 of them are against ranked opponents.
Mm-hmm.
6 of them. Obviously, you got number 9 BYU, number 14 Kansas. I think they were 16 about a week ago. Then they moved up in the rankings, and then obviously number 6 Texas. Then you get I say this air quotes, a simpler task with Texas Tech, the 2-game series with Texas Tech, and then boom, last game of the season you go to Houston, who is ranked 22 on the year.
BYU's a perfect 10-0 at home as well. So back to what I was saying earlier, it's a good thing that they were playing in Provo as well, because that could have smelled doom right out of the get-go as well.
Find some benefits where you can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because, like, honestly, because it's BYU, because 1, it's a new Big 12 school. 2, they're really damn good. I expect Morgan Family Arena to be absolutely jumping, absolutely popping. Does not matter what the end result is going to be, because you better hope that these next, let's say, 5-game stretch before you get into Texas Tech and then Houston at 22. Look, they've had some success against ranked opponents after Nebraska. As talked about last week, how beneficial was it to play Nebraska this early? Because now this is the best team that they played since Nebraska that's going to be on their home court. They've had the benefit of being able to play Nebraska and BYU on their home court, right? So that benefit.
I mean, you're also getting Texas as well. I mean, those are 3 very, very difficult opponents, and you're all getting them on the home court. You're getting BYU twice as well.
Exactly. So having that early season experience of playing Nebraska, who I think is actually, they were ranked number 4 when they got here. I think they're ranked 2nd now. And I think they just beat Wisconsin, who was number 1 ranked team, if I'm not mistaken, right? So once again, obviously Nebraska, pretty damn good. Okay. But that benefit of playing Nebraska, I understand it was a 3-0 game sweep. It wasn't the ass whooping that I think many would think it was when you really look at the box score. It's like, honestly, if the couple points fell here and there, I'm not saying we would have won the game. I'm not saying that at all. But maybe we could have won a set. You know what I mean? It would have been a little bit different. That we in more ways than not, I think we were right there with them as far as that game went. As far as, once again, if you look totally at the box score, back this up. But if you watch the game, it's a little bit different than what it looks like, right? And so, and they've of course had the success against Baylor. They've had the success against of Iowa State, right? They've played and had successful games against ranked opponents. Obviously, these are the highest ranked opponents that they will play. So I think hopefully that confidence is going to be there. But this would be a great time to find that consistency that has been an issue for them so far this season. We don't know. We're going to keep hope alive. I predicted them getting at least, winning 6 out of the 4. They want to go ahead and surprise me and get a nice sweep against 14th ranked Kansas. That'd be great to put me right back on track, So we just got to see, John. I'm going to be glued to the TV when this goes. Good or bad, my eyes will be glued to that TV set because I want to know. Maybe we won't win against BYU or Texas or 14th ranked Kansas, but I want to see, this first year head coach. I want to see what these girls are made of, and what they got in them. They got in. They know that they have it in them too. Sometimes just talent outweighs it when you're playing these type of teams, right? But I want to see what else they got in them to be able to build on for postseason, because the thing they're gonna have, honestly, if depending who they play first in the Big 12 tournament, I think they'll have a chance. As far as going to the NCAA tournament, don't know. There has to be a lot that goes into that, but unsure. But still, seeing what they do here would be beneficial.
I'll give you a little bit of a tidbit. The Big 12 doesn't have a volleyball tournament, and neither do the Upper Power 5 conferences. It's pretty much the mid-majors on down as well. K-State's RPI, they're currently number 86 right now in the RPI, which is how they determine, based on the strength of schedule, on who makes it into the NCAA tournament. It's like I said, like we mentioned already, it's a tall task coming up with these next three series or matches with BYU, Kansas, and Texas. But you're number 86 right now in the RPI. If you're able to get 2 to 3 wins out of there, but who knows? K-State might be looking at maybe kind of nearing towards the bubble of the NCAA tournament right now. But they're gonna have to do some work. They're gonna have to do some work.
Gonna have to do some major work. Well, and of course, some things y'all need to work on is hitting up Home Field Apparel. Get y'all some new gear. Get you some new hoodies. Get you a hat because it's getting chilly out here. And Home Field Apparel is going to set you up. So please hit up homefieldapparel.com and make it do what it do. We will be right back with Run It Back on the Kansas City Sports Network.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Welcome back to Run It Back. I am your host, Jazsmin Halliburton, and joined with me is none other than Jon the Shake Grove here on the Kansas City Sports Network. So if you missed the first time, we talked about K-State Volleyball. We talked about their chances of possibly going to the NCAA tournament, what needs to be done in this very aggressive end of their schedule with going up against BYU, number 9 in the country twice, then number 14 Kansas twice, then number 6 Texas once, quote-unquote break against Texas Tech, and then ending the season at number 22 Houston. So we gonna keep hope alive when it comes to that stretch of their schedule. But now, John, we move on to K-State women's basketball, and man, I'm excited because this is where I thrive. Playing knowing and playing basketball pretty much all my life. This is right up your alley. This is your type of team. This is right up my damn alley because this is where we at, okay? Because we talked a little bit, a couple weeks ago about K-State women's basketball. John, we talked about it a lot towards the end of their season last year on my radio show, Run It Back. Because you see, what we got the Glenn twins, okay? We got Serena Sundell, we got Gabby Gregory, we have Yoki, the most important name of all, Ayoka Lee, is coming back.
The upper echelon of women's basketball.
Up there. You like Princess 61, okay? She is coming back, and honestly, in my mind, she's probably coming back better than ever. Because earlier on in the season, after she got a surgery, it was a season-ending surgery in the off season before this past season, right? And she's saying that after her surgery, her knee has never felt better. So once again, I'm thinking, so you put up a 61-piece wing dinner on one leg against a ranked Oklahoma team. So in my mind, I'm like, girl, what is stopping you from dominating these fools? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Because I get it, K-State season, it wasn't a great one last year by any means. I want to say they finished maybe 8th in conference play, not 9th. It wasn't a great finish for them. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't a great finish for them because obviously they didn't have Yoki. They were able to get Gabby Gregory, even though despite leading the league in scoring, okay, because Gabby was that one. Talk about coming out party for her, right? But for this team to be, I get it, offensively, a lot of things did not show up for them. That's why they ended up finishing bottom of the Big 12. But to know who y'all have and who y'all upperclassmen is going to be, that's where things start to get a little bit different and a little bit interesting. Because for this upcoming season, K-State women's basketball, they are projected 4th in the Big 12 standings. They have with Texas at 1, Baylor at 2, Kansas at 3, and then us at 4. I get Texas because they were regular season Big 12 champs. Baylor, meh. Baylor, they had a lot of injuries last season for the transfers. So, but of course, that name being Baylor, just like Texas is for football, Baylor is for women's basketball. That's why they're up there. And of course, KU, they won their WNIT championship. So that's why they're up there. And as they should be. And then, of course, you have K-State at number 4. So where do I even begin, John? Because Coach Mitty at their Big 12 Media Day, which was just this past week, he said he thinks this could be the best team he has ever coached in Manhattan.
I second that statement.
Mm-hmm.
I second that. Look, looking back at last year, you didn't have Aoka Lee holding down the middle. They got and because of that, they needed some more efficient shooting from their offense, and they got that from a first-team All-American and an Oklahoma transfer, Gabby Gregory. And not just from her, but we saw a lot of growth from several sophomore starters as well. And Serena Sundell, you got the Glenn twins as well on the perimeter. And now you got Aoka Lee back for the and you also got Gabby Gregory for super senior extra COVID season, what we're calling it. And you got those two dynamic players back, while you also have Serena Sundell and the Glenn twins. They're bringing valuable experience as juniors and valuable experience as leaders as well. And you're also throwing in a couple more players who sat out last year with several injuries. I concur with Jeff Mitty. I mean, I think it is without a doubt the most deepest. I don't know if deepest is a word. His deepest, I should say. That's a better way of saying it. His deepest and most talented team yet.
And it's because it's crazy to me because Jeff Mitty, he talked about, he's like, why he thinks this is probably the best team he's coached in Manhattan is because their work ethic right now. He said, not saying that other teams in the past and other players in the past did not have good work ethic. It's just right now the girlies are living in the gym right now. Because they know what they got. They know the roster that they have. They know the transfer that they were able to get 2 from Louisville, with one being Zina Walker, what I want to say was a 4-star coming out of high school before she committed to Louisville and coming out of Wichita, Kansas. So she decided to come on back home, right? And so they're living in the gym. They know even the bench. I know the bench in past years has been an issue when your starters are doing what they need to do, especially when having Yoki being as dominant as she was. There wasn't really anyone else around her that really can produce offensively. So now they've deepened the bench and also having Eliza Maupin. I didn't mention her before, but Eliza Maupin was probably one of my favorite players from last year's team. She come in for her sophomore season. But the thing is, with this team, knowing what they got, because, they know the expectations. They know what they have, and they understand that the pressures are high right now, but they're talking about, this pressure is a privilege to have. Because, this has been a tough conference for women's basketball. You got, obviously, Texas dominating. You got Baylor just absolutely dominating because Baylor was that team. And, of course, her her name escapes me, the head coach who was at Baylor and who's now at LSU and just won a natty with them. I don't know why her name escapes me, but she's been packing this conference up for the long time that she was here. Kim Mulkey. Yes, Kim Mulkey is who it is. And she was packing this conference up, okay, with Baylor. They were always that one to beat, of course, and she moved her talents over to Baton Rouge, right? And, of course, Iowa State was really good for them. Oklahoma really good. But Oklahoma and Iowa State, they've lost a lot of players. So that's why they're not necessarily in this conversation for the top of the Big 12 and them kind of repeating for us. Iowa State won the tournament, Big 12 tournament. So they were tournament champions. But knowing the experience that K-State now has with Gabby Gregory, with Ayoka Lee coming back, with Jalen and Briley Glenn the Glenn twins, okay, and Serena Sundell being assist queen that she is, okay? Because Jon, I wanna spit something out for you. I wanna spit something out for you because
laying on me.
I think people are forgetting just how important Ayoka Lee is to this team and what her addition is going to be, because recency bias. Considering she didn't play last year, people may forget how damn good she was. But okay, let me spit some things out for you. Some things that K-State was not the best at last season and something that they will improve on this upcoming season. They were 6th in assists, 7th in total offense and total defense. These are all rankings in the Big 12. 8th in field goal percentage out of 10 teams. They were 6th in opponent field goal percentage, 9th in three-point percentage, 7th in rebounds, 8th in opponent rebounds, last in offensive rebounds, and then 6th in assists to turnover ratio. So bottom half in a lot of these certain categories that I just listed off, right? That was last year. Let me list off the things that will greatly improve when Ayoka Lee is back starting with this team. 6th in assists, 7th in total offensive defense will go up. Their total field goal percentage will go up. Their opponent's field goal percentage, that will go down. So they will up in the rankings with. That will improve the 3-point percentage of the rest of the team. That will improve their rebounding percentage. It will improve their opponent's rebound percentage as far as that moving up into the rankings. So it'll be lower. Then, of course, they will move up from last into higher up in offensive rebounds, and then moving up with the assist to turnover ratio. She is going to improve every single thing that the K-State women's basketball team was not the greatest at last year, and it's going to improve because of one individual. Okay, because the season before Ayoka Lee went out, she was 2nd in scoring behind a player who's graduated and is not here anymore. And even then, she was only 2nd in scoring because that player had 3 more games. All right, she was in the same thing goes. She was 2nd in the Big 12 in rebound. The player before, once again, not here anymore and had 3 more games, and it was already closed. She was 1st in field goal percentage in the Big 12 and 2nd in blocked shots. Once again, the person who was above her is not here anymore. All of those things that I listed that Ayoka Lee is the best in the conference for, and some things that K-State was worse than the conference for, all of that will be improved just because of her near presence. I don't think people were understanding that, Jon. I know they'll see it when they see her suited up on the floor opening night. But I'm telling you, the amount of offensive rebounds we're going to get when we have our 6'6" queen back dominating the paint, that will be up, okay? When you need assists more, you have her. You're going to throw her the ball, and once again, the highest field goal percentage in the conference, obviously that's going to up the assist as well. And once again, you were 9th in a 3-point percentage. I remember the season before she got hurt, they were triple teaming her, and they were leaving Serena Sundell, Briley, and Jalen Glenn. They were leaving them wide open at the 3-point line, but the defenders knew they wasn't gonna shoot. Okay, but that last year's shades, again, it's still 9th in 3-point percentage. That means they were shooting. Beforehand, they weren't shooting jack diddly squat, Jon. They weren't shooting squat. But now, if they want to try the triple team Ayoka Lee in the paint, what they gonna do? They gonna cut them behind the 3-point line. That's the thing that I'm thinking. Like, see, that's why, Jon, that the expectations for this team is so high, because these aren't like, the Glenn twins, Serena Sundell, they're not freshmen anymore. That's gonna be scared to shoot. They're not gonna be scared to shoot anymore. Okay, everything literally improves with her presence, and I know I'm talking a lot about this. But I don't think y'all fully understand it. I don't think y'all fully understand. That's what I'm saying. John, you got anything to add on this?
Well, I mean, honestly, and this is nothing against the team or Aoka Lee from last season as well, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise for several players on the team with Aoka Lee being out, because 2 years ago we weren't talking about anybody else playing as an offensive factor or just putting up the constant numbers we've been seeing compared to Aoka Lee. She was out last year. Then we saw the likes of Gabby Gregory, Serena Sundell, the Glenn twins. They were starting to put up some numbers since the team definitely. I mean, they needed any sort of offensive production with those guys as well. And now you got Aoka Lee back, and this kind of alludes to one of my questions that I have for this year. How is Aoka Lee and Gabby Gregory? How are they going to mesh? Because, K-State, they've been more of a perimeter-oriented team with Aoka Lee, with Aoka Lee, I should say. And the question is whether her presence in the middle will affect Gabby Gregory as a scorer, or if the dual threat creates more of a scoring opportunity for both, and not just that, but for several other K-State players as well. Can they find a way to make each other better? Can point guard Serena Sundell? Could she help out as a facilitator as well? She was also a preseason Big 12 honorable mention pick, averaged nearly 14 points and nearly 5.5 assists last year as well. And really, when it comes to the overall depth of the team, because Jeff Minnie alluded to it, it's going to be the most deepest, talented team that he's coached so far. How many minutes are each player going to have? Like, are there going to be enough minutes to spread around as well? Because depth is not the issue for this team compared to what we've seen in years past. Yep. Because Aoka Lee was one of the free walkouts who was back after missing last season. Add on to that, you got Arizona sophomore transfer, Gisela Sanchez. She's back, and she spent some time over the summer with the Spanish under-20 national team as well. Then there's Louisville transfer Ziana Walker, guard from Wichita. I mean, you got Amani Lester, 6'4" forward. Both are redshirt freshmen. They're incoming freshmen as well. Redshirt freshmen. I mean, you got incoming freshmen, Alexis Hess and Terrence Sides. They should also be competing for a little bit of playing time as well.
Honestly, this is such a good problem to have. Because, because beforehand, we talked about the struggles that this team has had, as far as coming from their bench. That's part of the reason why you have so much experience with Serena Sundell, with Jalen and Briley Glenn, because they had played a lot of minutes their freshman year, because there was no one from that bench that was going to, I guess, relieve them of that. You know what I mean? That's why they were thrown in the fire as much as they were. And so now that you have them, they're juniors now, they've played a lot of Big 12 basketball. Okay, so that's why I think this is a great problem to have. And now you don't have to rely on them literally as heavily, because even having Gabby Gregory last year, that even helped them, because she's one of the older ones on the team. She's also played a lot of basketball herself, but even though she's been hindered by some injuries, but clearly when she's 100% healthy, this is what she does, right? And as far as your question about how well will Gabby and Yoki play together, considering, but I mean, Gabby said the reason that she came to K-State was to play with Aoka Lee. That was why she came here. And Coach Meany was saying Gabby didn't come back this year for her super senior year. It wasn't just to become the leading scorer in the Big 12 again. It was because they was trying to do something special, and they know what they got with Aoka Lee coming back. And same thing with Yoki. She's not coming back to score 62 points and break her own record. She's coming back because they know as a team, they know who they got. They know what they're going to be able to do, and they know that they're going to be some problems coming in. And even then, this just fixed their entire issue, what they had offensively, because a lot of the things that I listed, they were offensive, related. And I think because Gabby Gregory, she was our best 3-point shooter, John. Yep. She was our best 3-point shooter. And once again, if y'all gonna try to test our shooters like y'all thought y'all was gonna do 2 years ago when they were freshmen and they were too scared to shoot, y'all better switch some things up, homie, because I don't think that's gonna fly no more. it's not going to fly no more because they have the confidence knowing that they're going to be able to shoot. I get it. They were ninth in the Big 12 last year for shooting percent. But bro, the attempts, they were at least they were shooting. You're like, you're ain't gonna go nowhere if you're not going to shoot, right? Like you shoot, you open, you shoot, and that's exactly what they did. And I think having Yoki gonna be back in that paint, that's gonna up the ante a little bit. You feel me? But defensively, I know K-State defensively was damn good. Okay, like I'm gonna list some more stats from last season. They were fourth in an opponent 3-point percentage. You were not getting open looks against this team defensively. They was gonna kill you in their 2-3 zone. That's what they was gonna kill you in it. They were second in free throws. This was a really good free throw shoot team. Really good free throw shoots. Really you at the line, you're basically giving them every chance to win this game, right? And then of course they were third in turnover margin. They forced a lot of turnovers from other teams. They were fourth in block shots because we started 3 guards. Less than like 3 to 4, like 4 guards essentially. We started 4 guards. 3 of them incredibly tall with the Glenn twins, and then Serena Sundell. Serena Sundell, she's 6'1" guard. Okay, yeah. She's actually leading this team in blocks, essentially, right? This is like the length was the problem. Defensively, this team was a problem, and of course, they were second in steals. And Jon, you were with me on my show when I was having the rant of rants when it came to Jalen Glenn, who led the Big 12 in steals, but yet she was not on the all-defensive team. You saw the amount of hell I was raising on air about why in the hell do you not have the league's leading stealer on all defense? And she had more. What was the number? It was a ridiculous one. She had double-digit more steals than the person in second place, and that person in second place was made all defense. Mm-hmm. So I just want to know what the hell was y'all thinking of taking her off that list when she was the leader in the Big 12 in steals, and it was not even close. Damn it, it wasn't close. All right, so
it just gives an additional chip on the shoulder,
as it should. She better be locking some moves up, okay? She gonna lock all they behinds up. And I know she is. It's not only just straight up steals. She's literally 1v1. She's locking people up. She's putting her hand in the passing lane. If she doesn't intercept the ball and go the other way, it's getting out of bounds. Your offensive production, it's going to be interfered with because she is guarding your best player. But that was last year, Jon. Last year. I'm calmer now. I'm in a better position mentally about why. Not necessarily why, I still don't understand, but I'm accepting. That's the word. I'm accepting that for some damn reason, she was not allowed this, but that's okay. Because this year, honestly, I want to get her on the show as soon as I possibly can so she can speak to the masses about what dog mentality is going to show up for her, because I know it's coming, Jon. I know it's coming. But I had to take a deep breath. Because even just thinking about it, being at every single one of these games, and watching every single one of these games, I'm thinking, why the hell is she not on all defense team? But like I said, Jon, that was last year. We're moving on. We're moving forward with our lives. And this is going to be a team that's going to be so much better than I think they may have ever have been, because they got some damn talent. Some Bond stars. I'm using Space Jam reference right now. They got some Bond stars on this team, and the expectations are high. The only teams you really got to go through, even though I think there would be no off nights, because once again, it's still the Big 12, but Texas, Baylor, and Kansas. We'll see how much they can go through, because KU didn't really have a great conference run. I think they finished, they finished one above us, so I want to say either 7th or 8th. They didn't have any finish in conference play, so we'll see if momentum from their WNIT championship will carry over. And I think it will. But knowing that, all right, it's going to be Texas and Baylor for sure, and see how Kansas starts out. We riding, Jon. We riding. Okay. Jon, is there anything more you want to add? Because I know I spoke a lot in this rant about this team, and of course, Jalen Glenn deserving to be on the all defensive team. Anything more you want to add?
I think just kind of wrapping things up a little bit with Gabby Gregory and Aoka Lee, I think it's just going to create a potent 1-2 punch all around. I'm really excited to see both of them on the floor, ready to see the production from everyone else, as well as the newcomers as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's gonna be real fun. It's gonna be. I'm excited. But I know before we finish, I do have to remind we do have another K-State soccer game that will be on Monday, and it's the Sunflower Showdown against Kansas in Lawrence. Both teams just playing for pride, unfortunately, at this point. K-State and KU is finished at the bottom of the Big 12. Neither will be going to the Big 12 tournament. So at this point, it's just seeing who wants to end the season on a high note. But that will be tomorrow night on ESPN+. So when we come back, we'll talk more about that game. We will talk about seeing what happens when K-State plays BYU and maybe a little bit more of basketball things when we come back next week on Run It Back. We'll see y'all then.